So let's see now. We have another very smart guest, and we're all kind of in a different situation now. I like the Zoom interviews, though. We used to do this at the radio show, and John would, when he was in town, John Ahlbum, who is the owner and the CEO of Ahlbum Insurance Group, used to come there. But now when he's off, you know, on his as a second home, are you still up there?
Yeah, we'll leave a week from today and come back to Florida.
Okay. But you used to have to come to the radio show, and I did too. But now we're not doing it that way. We're doing Zoom, and I think it's very good because we don't have to wait, you know, and then put it on YouTube and get your face on it. Now it's all one big show.
There's some advantages to this pandemic.
Yeah. Right. That's one of the advantages. Aren't too many, but that's one that's true. Well, and also I don't have to get dressed up. You see me from the half up, but you don't see me from shorts on the half down. So I guess my question is that it seems that, and it's not political, it's just a matter of insurance rates are going up as well as a lot of other things. Is there a reason for that?
Our rates with United American went up a year ago, but nothing's going up right now. And it was just to stabilize the claims loss ratio. Medicare has a guideline of 65% claims loss and 35% for, you know, the balance of the premium going toward commissions and home office expense and things like that. So if the claims loss gets up over the 70% mark, then they recommend reevaluating and increasing rates to get the claims loss down to the close to the 65% mark. I
see. Is that how it comes? And I'm wondering if all medical bills, not in your company specifically, but is everything going up?
I've heard of some companies that are having rate increases this year. I've heard of some are going to have rate increases in January, but what the percentage of the increase and who's having the increase, I really don't know off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Well, John Ahlbum, as I said, you know, I've been working with John Ahlbum a long, long time, and it's a Medicare Supplement company, the United American, and I think, you know, United American Insurance Company, we have to always assume that people have never heard you before. You know, people come in, new people. Yeah. So why don't we tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, what about United American? I think that's always helpful. And even if people heard it before, they probably forgot.
Okay. Well, we are a family-owned agency, and we specialize in Medicare supplements and are pretty dedicated to United American because United American is a A-rated company. It was one of the pioneers in the Medicare supplement business. In fact, they wrote their first supplement right after the president signed the bill to make Medicare official.
President Johnson?
Yes. No, I think it was Truman that signed. No.
Oh, was it Truman? Hmm.
But anyway, whoever signed it, you know.
Right.
And United American has stayed pretty much just dedicated to Medicare. I mean, we've got some smaller products like cash cancer plans and things like that. But the company's focus really is Medicare supplements. So it's good. And also, the other thing I like about United American is it's an agent friendly company. And clients will always have an agent instead of somebody sitting there in a phone room somewhere to answer their questions. So, so
that's a good point.
Makes a big difference.
Why don't you discuss the difference in a supplement and going with an HMO and You know, a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, supplement picks up, when they first started, they were called Medigap Plans because it's a government acronym, Medigap, for, you know, Medicare gaps. And the gap is multifold, really. If you're hospitalized, there's a deductible when you go in the hospital. The supplement pays that deductible. If there's a Medicare will pay 80% of what they approve on the medical side of it, the doctor side of it, and then the supplement picks up the other 20%. And there are some supplements that pick up an additional 15% called excess if a doctor doesn't accept Medicare assignment and says, I want to charge 15% more than Medicare allows because I need that to get by, then some of the supplements pick up that 15% charge too. And there's other, they extend the skilled nursing after a hospital stay. Medicare pays for the first 20 days of and basically the way I explain that to people is skilled nursing is when you're not sick enough to need a hospital bed anymore, but you're not well enough to go home. So they put you in a skilled nursing facility for a while. And the supplement will pick up an additional 80 days. So with a supplement, you have 100 days of skilled nursing after a hospital stay.
When you say skilled nursing, that could be rehabilitation center too. That's another word, right?
Yeah, rehab. Some, you know, there's a lot of at-home physical therapy and stuff now, but some people who have hip or knee surgery or something end up in a rehab for a few weeks while they learn to walk again and learn how to exercise and get the strength back in that area that the operation was on. And sometimes somebody who's had an internal thing like a heart problem or something will go there so that they can monitor it for a few weeks to make sure that the heartbeat is right and that, you know, the blood's flowing properly and everything else. So that's what the skilled nursing or the rehab, you know, you could call it either one really. And then most of the Medicare supplement plans, there's a couple that don't but most of them cover foreign travel emergency too. It's a $50,000 lifetime benefit that will cover an emergency in the first 60 days of a foreign trip, and it will pay up to 80% of what Medicare would pay in this country for the same procedure. So usually, because a lot of the hospitals are, you know, in Europe and stuff are less expensive than in the States, you're pretty well almost covered at 100% sometimes for something.
Okay, sounds good.
And
but these are the supplements. We're not talking about HMOs at this moment. This is all about supplements, right?
Well, I think the biggest thing about a supplement is the benefits that I mentioned, but also the freedom of choice. With a supplement, there are no networks. There's no geographical limits or anything else. You can go to any doctor anywhere in the United States that you want to. Where with an HMO or PPO, you have doctors that are in networks, and the whole plan is in a network, and a lot of it is geographical, especially with an HMO. So even if you go out of your county sometimes with an HMO, it won't cover you. You know, they don't have doctors in the program. In Florida, one of the biggest problems, I think, is the Mayo Clinic. They don't accept PPOs and HMOs. They may now accept a couple of them, but really the only way that you could get fully covered at the Mayo Clinic was, you know, with a supplement. And then you have the cancer hospitals, the MD Anderson and places like that don't accept Advantage plans. They only accept supplements. So if you're diagnosed with cancer, it's a lot nicer to be able to go to one of the hospitals that specializes in, in that. So it's good.
Hmm. Glad you're doing this. I tend to forget this because we've been doing it for so long. That's excellent.
Say again?
That's excellent. I'm glad you're doing this. I tend to forget over the years, that's very important.
Well, you started right out with it when you turned 65, so you.
Oh, yeah. Because my husband had it. Yeah, he had it too.
Yeah, he did.
Never thought about it because I guess I hated to think that someone could tell me what doctor I had to go to and make me wait until they got back to me.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of the, especially the HMOs, require referrals. So you go to your primary doctor, and then you have to, he has to do a referral to a specialist. And sometimes that takes weeks. So with a supplement and traditional Medicare, your doctor gives you the specialist name, and half the time your own doctor will call and make the appointment for you, and the next day you're seeing the specialist. So there's a lot of advantages to having the supplement versus what they call the Advantage plans. But
that's right, the HMO Advantage. Well, is there now an HMO and an HMO Advantage? Are there two different ones?
A what?
Are there two different HMO plans now? One with the Advantage name and one just plain?
No, they all come under the heading of Medicare Advantage.
I see.
That's like there's traditional Medicare and then there's Medicare Advantage, or just plain Medicare by itself. But the Advantage plans are overpaid, unfortunately, and they're depleting the Medicare Trust Fund at a really rapid pace. And I personally wish something would be done about it to slow it down, so that, because they give away, they do a lot of things they're not supposed to do, like the ads on TV after open enrollment period. They're not supposed to advertise, and they still advertise and try to switch people over and do things.
And that's all part of their expenses.
Uh-huh.
Huh. That's interesting. But, well, there's so much out there in medicine now. It's like, especially with this COVID now. Have any of your clients have it, and are you having to take care of any of this?
I haven't heard of any of my clients being diagnosed with COVID.
Really? And you have a large assortment of clients.
A lot of clients, and I haven't heard of one.
And would you know?
Yeah, because they would file a claim, or they'd be asking for, help with a claim or something.
Well, that's a miracle, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow. You handpicked your clients, it sounds like. Well, what about when you're up there in the Cape? You having people up there with it?
Yeah, they set up a test center that's open every day of the week here. And every morning when I look on the local news, they'll say no new cases, no new cases, and then there'll be one new case. And they had a couple of people who had to be hospitalized recently with COVID, but we haven't had, on the island here, we haven't had a lot of it. Then Nantucket had an outbreak maybe 2 weeks ago where they had, I don't know, I think a dozen cases show in one day.
Oh, wow. Have you been tested?
Yes.
What's that test like? I haven't been tested.
They take like a little rod and put it in your nose, and then
they call it a swab. Is that what it is? A swab?
It turns and goes further down, but and then they put one in each nostril, so they test each side, and then it takes about 48 hours to get your results.
So it's like with a cotton tip, and then that goes into a jar, and that's what they do?
Yeah. Well, they keep the whole swab and put it in like a Ziploc bag.
With your name on it.
Yeah.
And I guess these are protected people too. I guess they're all with masks and everything.
Masks and,
right.
And gloves and booting.
Yeah, good. So you felt very protected up there, haven't you? I mean, have you gone to a lot of affairs and things?
Well, they cut out a lot of the summer activities were canceled. They did take and decided that on Main Street, where all the restaurants are, that they would kind of take a bite or out of Europe. So they allowed restaurants to put tables and chairs either on the sidewalk, or they took parking places in front of the restaurant and blocked.
Oh, really?
Barriers, so that you lost a couple parking places, but you had enough tables where they could actually stay and operate and still make, stay in business.
Right.
And then they became very professional with their takeout food. You go online and pull up a menu and order what you want, and it tells you when it'll be ready. And there's one place called the Town. When you go to pick up your order there's a little window, and your bag will be sitting there with your name on it. And then there's others that you go in and you go through a window and tell them who you are, and they get your order for you. But it's quick, and it's you just spend a lot more time eating at home.
That's true. I've been eating at home. Well, have you lost tourists over this?
I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure there's a lot of businesses are hurting. It was funny that on Labor Day weekend, the weather was nice. A lot of places had reopened at the end of the season, and the steamship authority said there were as many people coming to the vineyard as there were leaving, which is the first time ever, because usually Labor Day, the onslaught of people going home.
Right. They felt safe there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. My guest is John Ahlbum, A-H-L-B-U-M, and he is the founder and the president of Ahlbum Insurance Group. Let me give you a way to get in touch with them. I'll give you their number, their 800 number. It's 877-970-4760. I'll repeat that again. 877-970-4760. And people don't usually come to your office. They do this over the phone, but if they want you to come to your office, you're in Margate, right? They could make an appointment.
We have had some people there are some people who would prefer a face-to-face appointment.
Yeah.
And we've got our office, we've got the plexiglass guards on the desks, and we've got a good-sized conference table that an agent could meet a client at and keep their social distancing by sitting, one on each side of the table and stuff. So we do have some come in the office, and with Zoom and with other screen share programs and stuff, we've done a lot of virtual appointments, but there's some of the people just don't want a virtual appointment. They want to know who they're dealing with, and
right.
So we can accommodate them.
And if they sign the paperwork, well, of course, that's always been, even before anything, people just sign the paperwork and send it back to you. Yes, right?
We do that some, but we also do a lot of electronic applications now, which get in the system quicker, get issued quicker, and those we can do with a screen share, where they just watch their agent actually, while they're talking to them over the phone and giving them information, entering the information on the application, and then they sign electronically at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's submitted directly to the home office, boom, right away, and it gets worked on the next day.
So it's a funny question to ask you. About how many clients does United American have in the United States?
I have,
You don't have to be exact, but a lot?
yeah, they're in the top, I believe, on the actuarial site I looked, nationwide, we're in the top 20 of all of the Medicare providers. So I don't have,
I didn't know there were so many.
there are quite a few, and there's a lot that are regional. You know, some supplement companies that only operate in one state, there's some that operate in a 3 or 4 state area.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the rest that are nationwide.
Well, your company's nationwide, but you are only licensed, what, you're licensed in, I think, 3 or 4 places. You're not licensed across the country, are you?
I'm licensed in 27 states.
How many?
27.
That's amazing. That didn't happen all at once.
No, and then some of it is because I'll have an agent, and somebody wants to get appointed as an agent in that state, and as a general agent, I have to be appointed first before they can be appointed. Some states you don't have to be appointed to have an agent under you in that state, but other states require it. So.
Interesting. So that when you first started out on this business, you probably could never have dreamt of having 27 licenses.
No, I couldn't.
What made you go into this field years ago when you were just a kid?
In the insurance field?
Yeah.
It happened kind of accidentally in a way. My first wife died of cancer. And I was in the boat business then. I was a sales manager for a boat dealer in Pompano.
Oh, really?
And I had 4 children at home, and the youngest was 1.5 years when my wife died. And
Wow.
I couldn't work boat shows because I had to be home at night. You know, I didn't turn them into daycare, total daycare, you know, babies or children. And I wanted them to feel like a family and have me around.
Yes.
I started looking at a way that I could continue to make a living, but if I woke up one morning and one of the kids had a fever or flu or something, I could change my day around in a hurry and stay home with them. And insurance seemed to be perfect because, you know, I could make appointments with people and then explain to them why I had to reschedule, and they were always very willing to let me reschedule. And then over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, I started with United American. And actually, when I started with them, I was doing final expense, you know, small life insurance policies, and got asked about Medicare. So I started doing some research on Medicare and very quickly went from final expense to 100% Medicare because I liked it a lot better. And that's where we've been since.
20 years ago, and it wasn't like it is today either. Different.
No. No, in fact, there weren't any of the advantage to the PPOs or HMOs around 20 years ago.
No.
Any of them, anyway.
Right. Well, that was a smart move on your part. And I have always admired you. I've always thought to myself, and I wanted to ask you, was your mother, were they around living close to you, or were they still living when this all happened?
My mother lived in Arizona.
Oh, boy.
And my mother-in-law lived up here on Martha's Vineyard. So I was pretty much alone.
Yes, you were. And so that was, wow. How did you even know how to take care of those kids?
How did what?
How did you know how to take care of them?
Well, there was some trial and error, but
But were you part of a big family yourself before?
yes,
Oh,
I had, well, had three stepbrothers that were younger than me
ah,
that I'd grown up with, you know. So I'd watched my mother, I'd watched, you know, my grandmother and others, the way they took, you know, and it just kind of came naturally.
well, but you're a good man. I have to tell you, a lot of men wouldn't have done that. And that's what I think makes you such a good person in your business and insurance, because people want to talk. They want assurance. They want to know things. And any
Hmm.
man that could have done what you did is extraordinary, really.
Well, the thing I love about Medicare supplements the most is kind of like bringing up a family. You're helping people constantly. And that's why I love it so much. It isn't just selling a policy or something. It's every client we have, we help. And we continue to help, you know, through questions and phone calls. And I probably get 10, 15 calls a day while we're here.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
What do they want?
They'll have a question about a doctor or a bill or this or that, or is this covered or is that covered?
Really?
Yeah. And now with the open enrollment starting today, I've got calls to return this afternoon about drug plans. So.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So, but let's then move ahead. So you were very fortunate to find this wonderful woman. How did you find her?
I met Donna on Match.com, actually.
Wow. I could see that going on in this attractive man, but listen, I have 4 children.
And she actually has 4 of her own children, too.
Oh my goodness. So was she a widower?
She was divorced.
And she had 4 small children?
Her children were grown.
Oh, okay.
But actually, I think what she told me, what really turned the thing was we were talking on the phone one night. We'd spoken on the phone, but we hadn't dated yet. And I said, I've got to hang up. I'm cooking spaghetti for Emily, and I've got to take it off and put it on a plate for her. And
yeah, that would turn it, as compared to some people say, well, I like to walk on the beach, right?
yes.
Oh, goodness. Well, you know, people have told me I ought to get online. I haven't done it because, you know, Bill died 3 years ago and I haven't done that, but I do know a lot of successful people have found people.
Yes. Yes.
And now she's become a part of your company and you have, now your son that works with you, is that your son or hers?
It's mine. It's Tim.
I see.
Actually, my oldest son, Casey, worked with us for a while, and his wife works with us.
Oh, that's great.
Tim, when he graduated from UCF, came back and started right away. And he's been like the #1 producer with United American nationwide.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was a great thing. And we're out of time, but I want to give everybody your phone number again. John Ahlbum, you really get to know him on the Zoom. You're so good, John. I love having you on. It's yeah, it's 877-970-4760. It's the Ahlbum Insurance Group, AHLBUM, Ahlbum Insurance Group, and they're located in Margate. And you can go on their website, which is ahlbumgroup.com. John, have a safe trip back. And thank you so much, always. I love being a part of your life.
Thank you. It was great seeing you today.
Yeah, good to see you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.